What the fuck? Did I miss something? First of all, Flight Boss, bitch, for sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Terry's Moon. Flight Boss, the Archangel Uriel. And I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And for all my albinos out there, please do not get offended by this video, because this video is really not even targeted towards you. This is targeted towards everybody that's out here teaching. Now, I just got done watching, I don't even want someone's live stream, right? And on the recommendations, it took me on a whole trail. Because this live stream, you got people arguing about race and who was the first race, this, that, and the third within this live stream, right? And then on the recommendations, right, you get a bunch of videos that's recommended to me to watch that I actually came across, and there's actually a small group of community of people teaching that either albinos was the original, or either that or black people was the original. You see what I'm saying? Now this is an argument now. Where did albinos come from? Now, reason why I said this is because this is ridiculous. Now, this is what you call jail knowledge. This is what you call science that people are trying to figure out, but it's like right in front of them. And even scientists could look at this. Now, when you look at the science, I don't even agree to science to no terms and conditions, but we can kind of understand this. The science, the conscious community is thinking entirely too hard about this albino situation. Now, we know for a fact that albino have some type of pigmentation within the skin, right? So, for an example, anytime you have a group of something, right? And say you have a small group, which will be a minority to the majority, that lacks something or is able to do something that the rest of the pack can do, right? Then obviously the group that lack something, that's the minority, is going to be perceived as something that's a decomposition or instability or a roadblock. Is just, you know what I'm saying, something that they have to come across. And these ain't even the words that I'm looking for, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Undeveloped. Something is undeveloped, because if you have more of something being developed, then something that's undeveloped is going to be way faster to pinpoint. You see what I'm saying? Or otherwise it would be the majority, so it wouldn't be even perceived as something having a lack of something. So let's understand frequency vibrations before we start to dive into getting lost into the physical shapes and forms of shit. You see what I'm saying? So now that we understand that, now the conscious community, this is their way of trying to explain why every race have albinos, because they're trying to say that everybody come from albinos. Then you got a group of people trying to say that no, everybody came from darkness, because darkness is what's created light. So now you got a bunch of people saying we are dark. This is just everybody lost. Everybody in the conscious community trying to find something to argue about, and the things that they're pulling from to argue for is things that's already here, that's a preset. You know what I'm saying? And people are scared because they think that they won't make sense without this preset. So they think they have to add additions to this preset. And the better addition you know how to add to this preset, aka this body, is the better you know how to move through these arguments or these circumstances and situations and be perceived that you make sense. But when we talk about the spirit and the frequency vibration, listen, there's only one way to make sense. And it'll make you sit back and look at what you've been looking at the longest. Like, damn, I've been looking at the wrong shapes and forms, because your ass been looking at a shape and fucking form. Now, this is why you're fucking lost in the first place. Lost in the physical, lost in shapes and forms. Now check this out. Let's get to the motherfucking spirit right now, before we can really talk about what the fuck things is going on. Here's the fucking real. Now don't take no offense if you are albino and you watch me, but this is just for the people out here who have a misunderstanding. Since an albino have a lack of, right, that means they're underdeveloped. So as a spirit taking a shape and form, the physical body that they took, the first blood cell that they took, the bodies that they took, wherever they came from spiritually, resonated or it shared a lack of experience. So they picked one of these bodies to you know what I'm saying, pick up the information that they need to receive. Now, when a blood cell or whatever like that is being birthed and somebody come out as albino. Now, reason why each race has an albino, because each race, each male in the race or each female in the race share possibilities of creating an undeveloped cell. Simple as that. A genetically undeveloped cell. In some way, shape, or form, or whatever happens, based upon whatever intake or how the environment or how the parents are living. But whether this genetically undeveloped cell takes place in the male first or the female, whatever how that baby comes out will be albino. So this is why every race has an albino. So this is why not. So it's retarded to think that every race came from albinos, because then you would have to you would have to think, okay, then why albinos isn't the majority and every race that came from albinos is the majority? That doesn't make sense. When you get, I don't care what race y'all want to title people. All you got is shades. See, people get lost in race and physical, and then they tell you lost in race and physical. Look, I'm Archangel Uriel. We coming to put shit in real perspective in the spirit realm. Fuck all this shape and color y'all trying to tie yourself to, because it really makes no sense because of the concepts and the energy, frequency, vibrations that y'all putting behind these words. And these words is not even, y'all not even creating the meanings behind this. So y'all agreeing to terms and conditions that has nothing to do with these actual things that y'all seeing. As far as what y'all call as black, yellow, red, white, orange. With the words that y'all called, it has nothing to do with what it is. You're just catching a piece of the frequency vibration, motherfucker. So check this out. When you're talking about the motherfucking, when you're talking about the spirit, and when you talk, now let's get into albinos, right? You got everybody. Now, if they were the first race, then that means they should be the majority, and the race that follow should be the minority. But then you get some more dumb people lost in the physical and be like, okay, well that doesn't make sense because we all know civilizations die off. Now this is once again being lost in the physical. I told y'all dumbasses that y'all just talking about shades and colors, because I don't give a fuck what race. Each race that y'all named today wasn't always named these motherfucking races. They wasn't always named the same names. Hell, it wasn't even always the same goddamn language. Wasn't the same lifestyle or anything like that. But you know what was the goddamn same? The fucking shades of color. So the shades of color never changed. You see what I'm saying? So you always had this group of shade of motherfuckers. You always had this group of shade of motherfuckers. And you always had this group of shade of motherfuckers. And when I say shade, I don't mean a motherfucker who came in who lacked a certain pigmentation to the point that they can't grow eyebrows or shit like that. It's not that motherfucking type of party. It's just a motherfucker who came up out the water based upon their spiritual travels, and as far as evolution and time and thousands of years go on in different shapes and forms that you take based upon the location that you was in relative to the sun and the other planets, based upon the lights and the influences hitting that location, the bodies that developed there that slowly but surely became humans is the motherfucking colors that they took. So based upon that location, the motherfucking humans, as all of us came here as one, but spread it out throughout the waters and then developed as all of us. Now you got certain locations that the sun was and the planets was relating to that location in certain ways that they skin developed in a darker shade or a lighter shade, but it was all kind of in the same kind of shade based upon gradually transitioning. You know what I'm saying? So when you see us, as far as y'all want to tie to white or black people or whatever like that, this ain't white or black. This is transitioning based upon location, based upon our spiritual travels, based upon our development evolutionary wise. And our spiritual group, right, came here from the astral realm. Then when we came to this location, right, we all came as one, but as a spirit, all shapeless and formless, we still was relative to our positions and things of that nature. So this is how we correlate into if we was going to take female bodies and things of that nature, but for the female or male bodies. And what kind of experience we was going to relate to based upon this experience that we're going into to inhabit as bodies. Now, once we first here came as a first evolution, we spread it out. We was within the waters. We was the first species in the water. So all the species that you see in the bottom or the water now, in the bottom of the water down their evolutionary scale, they're spiritually younger than you, because you've been in this realm a lot longer than them, because you was able to develop more body pieces and more tissues and more vessels for yourself and able to sustain yourself, so you could develop more information to your spirit spirit to become a bigger spirit, to take a bigger form and lead this realm of reality. So when you transform from this body and it goes into the ground, the baby forms could utilize this and resonate to shit and take shapes, and I mean the baby spirits utilize your organs and your body tissue and shit like that of the earth and create new shapes and forms. So they'll be you. They'd be walking around like they was the dinosaurs or they was you and shit like that. And you in another body and spiritually, because you got their forms of information and they took you and transformed. They the new you down here as far as new spirits coming out the water. So this is what you have to understand. We spread it out against all over the earth. So, you know, based upon the sun relative and against each land, we know that based upon possession and shit like that and seasons and shit like that. And based upon locations. When you in Alaska, the sun and the sun and the planets correlate to the position on Earth in Alaska, different from motherfucking Miami and Hawaii and shit like that. So just think about it as us coming up as a developing when we all got here at the same time relative to our position, and then we all spread it out throughout the waters. We all scattered here in different locations out there, and then once we all developed, we all had the same information, so we all developed the same type of bodies. But since we developed the bodies in different locations, the bodies here, we got the same kind of bodies. The bodies is correlated in different relationships towards the planets, the suns. So it's not right to say what y'all quote unquote call white people, since they lack quote unquote what y'all call melanin, that they burn up under the sun, quote unquote they're not from here. Y'all getting lost. That got nothing to do with nothing. That got nothing to do with nothing. You know what I'm saying? You need to know that when you jump in. Listen. Oh my goodness. I hope I don't even lose people. But for the most part, based upon where their spiritual travels and out the water and the groupings that they came out of, based upon the relative and the location and the body tissue that they developed, that was how the sun relate to the body tissues and shit, that the bodies that they made for themselves as spirits. You know what I'm saying? Now, as far as dark pigmented skin color people, they came out in different areas where the sun may have been lower and closer to the earth. You know what I'm saying? So you was probably in the hell part of the earth, more in the center or the south part or the down. You know what I'm saying? Because anytime the sun is closer to the earth, that means either the earth, because the earth is below, because Saturn, let's get into a whole other thing. But if the earth is going up, so when the earth is going through Virgo, through Capricorn and shit, that's really the earth. That's really, y'all think y'all looking up. That's really, we're down. We're down based upon the higher consciousness. See, y'all just now, when you're already beyond the shift, as a shift, whenever there's a new shift of consciousness, like we're in the age of Aquarius now, if you already a star seed and Messiah seed, you don't go with you already was above the shift. So this is what I'm trying to understand. Trying to get y'all to understand when you're looking at it from above the shift. The shift has shifted now, age of Aquarius. So everybody understand right now that, oh, we're in a conscious shift. So everybody is looking at things in the same way. But everybody who was already above the conscious shift before the conscious shift is above this conscious shift. So that's what I just explained, is how you look at it from in that perspective. So people could understand it in that way. So it's not about, so right now, for an example, this consciousness now, since we're in the age of Aquarius, everybody is just now learning the conscious of the sun is not going up and down. Because if you was in space, you will understand the sun is not going up and down. So everybody who was saying the sun is rising and shit like that, it was false, because we know now we're at a level of consciousness now. So as a collective conscious, even if you was a dumb motherfucker before the conscious shift, right, and you ain't believe none of that shit, you believe something like that now. You know what I'm saying? Look, it's even shit like that in movies and shit like that now. You got movies like Jupiter Rise and shit like that. All kind of shit, right? Now, people like us, me and my soul group, right? We was above the conscious shift. We was telling people then when they wasn't believing it. So now we in this conscious shift now, where people is just learning that. And I'm here to tell you that us as a soul group, we're still this is why I'm able to say that, okay, yeah, it's cool that all y'all understand that the sun is not going up and down, whatever like that. But now I'm here to tell you, once you get into a body, once you be able to take a body of a planet or a sun, there is a up and down relative to them. You don't understand it based upon your perspective. You just now learning that they're not going up and down based upon you, because you don't know if whatever they're doing is relative to you or not. You just now learning that the sun ain't doing everything it's doing just because of you. You should have said, you just now, y'all level the but as me and my soul group, we understand, okay, but from the sun perspective and their perspective, there's an up and down, left and right relative to them and their life and their relative and their perspective. You see what I'm saying? So now when I'm saying shit like, okay, when y'all be looking up, when the earth is going through like Virgo through Capricorn and Aquarius and Pisces, right? It's on this axis getting ready to turn to look back up at Aries and look back up at the head of Draco constellation. This is why you can see certain constellations at certain periods when we're going through certain areas, but at the same time, because this earth is getting pulled away from Saturn and getting pulled by the sun axis, it's like a relationship type shit that's actually going on. So it's like this is why our axis is shifted away. So based upon our position, we're looking at things based upon where the sun is going, but the sun and the earth, we're still traveling where Saturn is going. So look at it like this. Saturn is tilted this way and it's going this way, right? Say the sun is doing this, but it's doing some crazy shit that it only want to do, but it's following Saturn, right? Still following Saturn, right? But it's following Saturn in its own chaotic way, facing this way. And then Earth got attracted by that and start to face it's the sun way too, but they're still following. It's like it's walking backwards. So it's still being dragged by where Saturn is going, but you see what I'm saying? It's all like electrical type thing, but that's another video. But for the most part, you have to understand when the sun going through Virgo, and that it's flipped. The axis is flipped, and we're looking at things from the sun. Now the sun is from their perspective, it's below. Saturn is on top. Saturn is the Lord. Once we get to that perspective and that location of the world, and then when the sun is down, right? When you being on Earth, since the axis is facing where the sun think it's facing, even though you know what I'm saying. When you're on Earth, you're this on Earth. So when you look up in space, right, you think you're looking up relative to you, but from their perspective, you is looking down. That's down. You know what I'm saying? And the sun is down. So when you think the sun is high in the sky, when the sun is even where the sun at is right now, it's gradually trying to move back up. But yeah, it's looking down. You know what I'm saying? You're looking down. This is where Archangel Gabriel was at. You know what I'm saying? For the fixed star Fomalhaut, when you start to look down the age of the cold age, ice age, all that shit start to get down. This is where a lot of shit got created from. The two fishes, then the water. Coming out of the death stage, we know all the death, the transformation stages in the water. You know what I'm saying? All this energy is all down there, frozen, winter time. You know what I'm saying? Things, transformation, getting ready to melt. It's a lot of science behind this shit, but you just need to motherfucking understand that it's this is higher level consciousness, where the evolved consciousness now gonna think this don't make sense. So us as a soul group, when they shift into another shift, we gonna be above them, but we're telling them now. We're telling them now, based upon their perspective, that's down. You see what I'm saying? That's motherfucking down. So this is why it's colder, hellistic, more of the hell nature and things of that nature. So when you look at cold is weight. It carries life. So people who can carry more cold nature, right, can hold more life. But we know, and people who carry more hot nature, and that carry more is death, transformation. See, now people don't understand this concept right here. Now when you look at cold, temperatures are real beings. See what I'm saying? Now cold sustains. Cold is like a container. You know what I'm saying? So anything, all life can sustain in the cold, right? Then you got hot. Hot is like, is no container. It thins out. Hot is like transformation. It's the death. It's the melting of the container. Life can't live in hotness. So anything extremely hot, there's no life there. This is why there's no fire beings. You know what I'm saying? You got life in the water, you got life on land, you got life in the air. You don't have no life in the fire. Just your spirit could only live there. You know what I'm saying? And the fire is just a representation of it. You can't even see that realm. That realm is related to the darkness. This is why fire disappears. You know what I'm saying? And you could correlate a lot of science to that. But for the most part, when you're looking at you know what I'm saying, these elements, and the fire, it just disappears. So water, life is in water. You can see life is in the air. It can sustain itself, but nothing can sustain itself in fire. So for the most part, it destroys, it transforms. So look at life. Life is somewhere in between water and fire, hotness and cold. You know what I'm saying? I don't even say water and fire. Let's say hot and cold. Temperature. We're talking about temperature right now. Life is... Oh, shit. This about to die. I don't need this dying right now. Life is in between motherfucking hot and cold. Now, this is transformation. So you experiencing life and death, life and death. You just went to the particulars and details and got scared of the particulars and details. But on a massive level, is this transformation. Now, somewhere in between. So when it's too cold and you think you're sick, getting ready to die, no, that's not what is it. It's just too much life being sustained. Now, alright, particles, bacteria, everything, these are all bodies. Light, sound, particles, molecules, bacteria, these are all bodies that spirits can inhabit. Now for the most part, now cold is like a container. Now all life can sustain itself in cold. Anything that colds it, get cold and freezes, it sustains itself, right? So understand that. So when it's cold, right, life can sustain itself. It can become stable. It's not going to die. So when you breathe in cold air, think about all the bacteria and things of that nature that's living within the air, and the toxins and things that's being pushed in the air based upon the chemtrails and that's creating clouds and weathers and shit like that. All the things that's in the air, right, is able to survive because it's not a hot day, so it's able to survive, right? So And when you breathe in cold air, you're breathing in cold itself, the temperature cold. You're breathing in a container. Now, within that container is going to be a whole bunch of life within that container. Now, that container, which is cold, you breathe in cold air. Now, air, boom, that's life itself. Bunch of shit in that life. Bunch of shit, bacteria and shit like that, that's able to sustain itself because it's in cold form. So it's in a container. You breathe that in, boom, you put that inside your body, all that shit got life, got way more life than it would have had if it was hot. So this is why if you're sick, this is why you're supposed to eat hot shit, peppers and shit like that, or if you're sick in any type of way, wrap yourself up in hot sheets. Don't go to the doctors and try to take all their motherfucking pills. Wrap yourself up in a bunch of and try to sweat the shit out. You'll find yourself feeling way more better. Nose get clear, all kind of shit. But for the most part, yeah, heat transform. You'll kill anything that's in you. It takes hot shit. Now, for the most part, that's why you catch a cold. It ain't that you catch a cold and you think you sick. You just got something living in you that's able to live a lot longer than it would have lived if it was hot outside, or if you was in something receiving heat, or because it would kill it. So that's all it is this all life relating to each other. Big stars and small stars. Y'all want to separate them and call them molecules and particles and bacteria and shit like that, and then star systems and call it constellations. This is all stars. You see what I'm saying? And when you talk about heat, that transformation, that kills shit off. So somewhere in between, right, is how you live. Because you got to constantly transform every day and constantly sustain yourself every day. So you're constantly building new ramifications for yourself. You're becoming a super bug, a superhuman, super whatever you think you are becoming. But then this is how you understand life structures, right? Because then you have a specific portion of life that better off sustains itself within the cold mechanisms. Then you got a portion of life that's better off sustaining itself within the hot mechanism. So now you got to dive into this, like take your right or wrong out of. See, we in a whole new world now, whole new perspective. See, flight boss, nigga. Now look, you gotta understand now. Now you start to see life differently, and now you really start to see the behind the veil, and really start to understand things, so you can slip away from any doctrine that you was into and start to understand. Okay, yeah, this is right. Okay, trees die when it's cold, right? Trees die, but it's a bunch of other shit that exists and live on when it's cold. Then look on the vice versa shit, right? Look on the vice versa shit. All the shit that die when it's hot. See, trees and shit grow and grass grow, but think about all the shit that die when it's hot. See what I'm saying? All the shit that die when it's hot, but live when it's cold. But then you got a bunch of shit that die when it's cold and live when it's hot. So now you have to dissect, like, okay, now we know what portion of life this is correlating more to, and now we could decipher, okay, now we know what placement we know what role this play. So it's not a right or wrong thing. It's not something being negative to something being positive based upon relationships and how one's relating. It's just based upon how one's maneuvering. And you know you're not supposed to maneuver in that aspect because based upon how your elemental mixtured in. And if y'all want to correlate that into astrology, religion, races, how what this video is even about in the first place, and nationalities, however y'all want to correlate it. It doesn't, it's this fucking same shit. You got to know how to move. Now, if you know you're around a bunch of people with this kind of shade frequency vibration, and you're this kind of shade frequency vibration, then the way y'all resonate with each other is going to be through different experiences, because based upon y'all location on the spirit realm, how we came here all together based upon our travels, but based upon our the space that we made it as us being together, you probably was on this side of the space, I was way on this side of the space, so we came here on different spaces and locations, but we still came with the same information to develop this kind of body, but we came in a different type of shade. Now, based upon the rotation, how I explained it earlier. Now, I know based upon my physical form I took, I may be able to do certain things that you can't do, and then you could do certain things that I can't do. AKA, the lighter you are, you maybe can receive cold a lot longer, but the darker I am, maybe I can receive the dark a lot longer. You know what I'm saying? This goes back to my video when I was saying getting lost in y'all doctrines, but still trying to give y'all understanding that dark people, when their spirits come, a lot of times they come at a time of solar eclipse, and lighter shade people's spirits come in this realm during lunar eclipse. And that's all I was saying. I titled the video black people are moon gods, and white people are sun gods. See what I'm saying? That's and then I got killed for that, you know what I'm saying? Which hold on, let me flip that around. I meant to say black people came in lunar eclipse, right? Lunar eclipse, and the lighter, and not black, but this is say shades, and the lighter the person, the yellow or Caucasian, whatever, or Hispanic or Latino, the lighter the person came through the solar eclipse, because they came through the light. So since the physical pieces that they made came a part of the light, right, then they no longer receive that. They give that off. So they need more of the dark. So this is why they have to be in the dark. So when we know two of the same energies come together, it creates friction. You know what I'm saying? Either it's the same sex or it's the same two things together cause friction. So two lights of the same, made out of the same material coming together, going to cause friction. So why are y'all looking at white people or people who are light, who get sunburn and shit like that, as they're not being able to? You're thinking of it the wrong way. Then black people came through lunar eclipse, so they can receive, so they have to get out of the dark. This is why you can't be in the cold too long as a black person. You start to get light. You need to be in the sun. You can receive more sun because you are already a part of the dark. So you opposites attract. So you can receive more of the light. It ain't the same thing causing friction. So when the darker shades you are, when you are in the sun, it's not causing a lot of friction because you can receive more of it. We have to make sense here. Y'all get lost in physicality and shit like that. But yeah, man, this is about albinos, and I got a little deeper than that. So I put a little bit of meat on this motherfucking bones for people to understand what's actually going on. Flight boss, bitch. Goddamn air. Ee hee.